guys, welcome to my art channel. Thanks for stopping by to make some art with me. For more free art lessons, you could press the button below and subscribe right there on that red button. And I will see you really soon. Now let's get to making some art. Bye-bye. Hi and welcome. Today we are going to be making a mixed media owl composition. The materials that you're going to need are a brown paper bag. You can use a lunch bag or a grocery bag. We're going to use the side without the printing. A piece of cardstock or mixed media paper and a piece of black construction paper. We will be using our oil pastels or our crayons today. And you will need a scissor, a pencil, and a glue stick. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is create the branches and the nest and the actual tree trunk with the hole. So we are going to need our paper bags. I'm going to draw for you a couple of the things, and then you can follow along. You could draw with pencil. I'm going to draw with marker so you can see it. So let's start with the tree. The tree is going to be, basically I'm going to roll my paper so it gets more of a rounded kind of shape. The tree is going to be the size, the height of the paper. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold this paper in half. You're going to make like a little oval shape, like that, and cut it out. So when you open it up, you have your hole for the owl to come out. And I'm just going to put that aside for a minute. Actually, I'm going to keep it rolled up so maybe it'll retain that more rounded shape. Okay. So now what we're going to do with our other piece of craft paper is we're going to make a bird's nest and the branches that you see here. So the bird's nest is the shape of a bowl, and I'm doing it about the size of the palm of my hand. Let me do that in marker for you. And I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to cut all our pieces out first, and then we'll go back to each piece and decorate and color it. So I have my tree and my nest, and I need some branches. So with the rest of this paper, I'm going to make some branches. Just some long branches like that to go across the paper. And I'll make a shorter one going over here. So I made 2 branches, and I'm going to cut those out. There we have our one branch. And I'll cut out our shorter branch. So I'm going to put these aside because we're going to use these extra scraps later on to make some extra little pieces for the nest. I'm going to take my mixed media paper or cardstock, whatever you have, and we're going to draw a little owl that's going to go inside the trunk of the tree. So let me move this away so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to draw the owl for you. And when I draw an owl, I always start with his eyes. And I'm going to do 2 big circles like that. And then I'm going to draw circles that are kind of big around those circles. They look like 2 donuts, like that. I'm going to give him a little V-shaped beak. And then I'm going to give him upside down V's for the ears. And in between the ears, I'm going to do some just wavy lines so it looks kind of a little bit like feathers. And I'm going to do the same thing around his face like that. Okay, and to add his body, I'm going to first draw an oval like so, and then I'm going to add wings on either side. I'm going to keep his wings closed because he's sitting in the tree like that, and I'm just going to add 2 little feet, which you might not see if he's hiding in the tree, like that. And his pupils, like so. And I'm going to cut him out. I'm not going to decorate him yet, but I am going to cut him out. So I'm going to make sure he's going to fit. Tricky to cut them out between those feathers, so just take your time. And I'm going to hold on to this paper because we're going to cut out some leaves. I'm just going to double check that he's going to fit in here. Oh, he's going to fit. And there we have our little owl guy. Super cute. So in this picture, I have some leaves that I'm going to cut out now. I have some eggs inside the nest, and I made a crescent moon because it's a night scene. So that's what we're going to do next. So let's start with a couple leaves. So the leaves are just like kind of like a pointy leaf shape. The way to cut out the leaves is I take my one drawing and then I put a couple other pieces of paper underneath it. So when I cut this leaf out, I'm cutting out more than 1 leaf at a time. It just saves some cutting time. Because I want a bunch of leaves here. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 leaves. So here I have 3 already, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this paper, I'm going to fold it like this once, I'm going to fold it back, and then fold it forward. It's kind of like an accordion shape, like the letter M. And I'm going to draw my leaf on the smallest piece of paper. And this way I can cut them all. Whoops! Jumped away from me. I can cut them all at the same time. And I'll have 3. Another 3, and that'll give me 6 leaves. And I'm just going to do that one more time. And notice I'm moving very quickly, but you don't have to. You can pause the video and take your time doing this. Whoops. I'm going so quick, things are flying all over the place. 3 more leaves, and I noticed I had another leaf here, so I'm just gonna take another scrap and make another leaf. And I'll put those guys aside, I also have a moon, so I'm going to cut that out. I made a crescent moon. You can make a crescent or a full moon. So the crescent moon starts with the letter C, and then you put another C inside of that, just like that. And that's your crescent moon. And I'm going to cut that out. Here we have our little moon. And then I'm just going to take my nest and I'm going to make a couple eggs that are going to go in the nest. This way I have everything cut out first, then I can go back and I can color stuff in. So the same way that I did my leaves, I'm actually going to do the eggs. I think I could probably fit 2 or 3 eggs, and you really don't see the whole egg, you just see the top of them. So I'm just going to make two egg-shaped tops, and I'm actually going to use 2 pieces of paper at the same time. I'm going to cut 2 pieces at the same time. And here I have the tops of my eggs. Don't look like much now, but okay. So I'm going to clean this stuff up a little bit. I think I have everything. I have my tree, I have my nest, I have 2 branches, my owl, my moon, my eggs, my leaves. I'm in good shape. So I'm going to just, now I can get rid of these scraps, or you can put them aside just in case you want to add something else. I'm just going to move them off my desk so I have some room. And I'm going to grab another piece of this paper because I'm actually going to use it as like the little pieces of my nest, as I did here where it's popping up. Okay, I'm going to take my just scrap paper to cover the table. So I'm going to take a piece of extra paper that I'm going to cut up, and I want to make my nest first. So I just used some browns and greens. Whatever I used on the nest part, I'm actually going to use on this part, and then we'll kind of rip it up and make it look like little pieces of nest straw. I don't know what you call what nests are made of. They're made of all sorts of things. Sometimes you find cotton and fabric and lint in there, grasses. So I'm just going to do a mix of, colors that you might find if you found a bird's nest. So I'm going to do like a lot of more natural earth tones, which are the browns, and greens. And maybe I'll just use a little bit of green. I love using crayons or oil pastels because it goes on so smoothly. They're a little bit different than wax crayons. Okay, so let me add just a little bit more in my nest. And the way I'm coloring my nest is actually, I'm just using lines going in all directions, because if you've ever seen a bird's nest up close, it's not neatly colored in. It's all those little hatched lines. So I have my nest, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually just going to tear it, because a bird's nest is made from just odd pieces, and they're never cut perfectly, right? So I just want to have those rough edges that I get when I tear the piece. And I'm just going to make myself, like 4 or 5 pieces. I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to glue my pieces of nest on top of the shape of the nest. Just so you know, when you're putting glue stick on top of oil pastel, you need a lot of glue because the oil pastel has an oil base in it and sometimes it makes the glue hard to stick. So what I did was I'm putting 2 dots because I want my pieces to stick up a little bit. See how that's sticking up? So what I did was I put 2 glue dots and I glued 1 piece, but I didn't glue it all the way down. I just glued it on the dots. I didn't push it down. I let it stay bumpy. And now I'm going to crisscross a piece. So see where I put my purple glue? So I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to crisscross it and see if I can leave it bumpy. See how I left it bumpy again? And this gives it just a really interesting look. It gives it some dimension to your composition. It makes it kind of fun. And I'm just going to finish off my nest by putting the rest of the pieces on, having them stick up a little bit. And they're even sticking past the actual form of the nest, which is fine because it looks just like a bird's nest would be kind of sticking out. See the back, how they're sticking out from the top and the bottom. And I'm going to put that aside to dry. And then I'm going to go to my branches. And branches of a tree, the bark of a tree is very rough, and it has like a lot of lines and it has a lot of knots in it, as you can see here. So I'm going to try and make that same type of texture. And what I'm going to do it in black ink so you can see it. I'm going to make lines, and occasionally I'm going to make these narrow little swirls in here. That gives it the look of those knots that you find when you look at a tree. And I'm just going to put a couple. Mostly I'm going to have those horizontal lines following the lines of the branch. And I'm going to do both my branches the same way. And I'm also going to do the owl's house because that is actually supposed to be the tree trunk. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make those twisted lines. And maybe I'm going to kind of outline that circle we cut out. Have you ever looked at a tree and you've seen like a hole in it? It kind of has that like uneven line around it that kind of pops out. I always wonder what lives in those holes in the tree. Maybe an owl, maybe a squirrel. So I gave my tree some basic, and I'm going to take my crayons now and I'm going to give the tree some depth by adding different color browns to it. So if you look outside at a tree branch, you'll notice that it's a little gray, it's a little brown, depending on the tree. So I'm going to use a couple of different browns for this. I don't seem to have a really dark brown here. So I'm going to use these 2 colors. And if you only have 1 brown, just use that. You can also use black or orange. Sometimes trees have some green on them. They might have moss. And I'm not coloring it in. I'm just following those lines that I drew. Because the paper bag is like a really good color for the tree. So I'm just adding some depth with some lines here and there. That's it. I don't want to color in the whole thing. I don't want to lose the color of the background paper with this design. Okay, and what I did to the bark of this tree trunk, I'm going to do the same type of thing right over my tree branches. And here I have my tree branches. Okay, so I'm going to put those aside. We have our tree trunk, our branches, our nest. Let's go to our leaves. So what I did in this painting over here, or this composition over here, is I made the leaves really colorful. I like a lot of color. So you might not usually see blue leaves or pink and yellow leaves or purple leaves, but I wanted to add that extra pop of color. So that's how I'm going to do these leaves. You can choose to do your leaves any way you want. First, I'm going to draw the veins inside the leaves. And those are these lines that you see here. Those are called the veins in the leaves. And I'm just going to go quickly through all my leaves and draw those veins. And you could do that with pencil if you want, or you can do it with marker. Marker will really stand out underneath the crayons. The pencil will not. So that's why I choose to use a black marker to make the veins of my leaves. And I'm also outlining the shape of the leaves. It's a lot of leaves. And the leaves are all different sizes. Some are small, some are big. So I have veins in all of my leaves, and now I'm going to color them. And I'm going to go bright. I like to go bright. So I'm going to do some leaves in pink. On these leaves I did the leaves half and half of different colors. I did a lot of colors. So you can choose to do your leaves in two-tone or three-tone, however you want to do it. I think I'm going to do it a little different. Here I did half and half on the leaf. Here I think I'm going to just do a lot of colors in each leaf. So it's going to be more of a mix of colors. So I'm going to start with some pink, and then maybe I'll do some green. And I'm just going right over everything. And when you draw your crayon over a crayon that's already there, it helps to kind of smooth it out. So I'm just going right over, and I'm going to keep doing it until I fill up the leaves. And don't worry if you go outside, if you drew outlines, and you go outside of the lines, that's fine. Just have fun with it. Now if you outlined your leaves, and there's a white outline like that, you can trim it or you can keep it. In these leaves, I actually kept the white outline. So I have colored in my leaves, and I'm going to put them aside. I like them. They're kind of looking very tie-dye, I guess you could say. And I like tie-dye. All right. So we have the moon. The moon you can keep white, or you can color it in a little yellow, and I think I'm going to do it a little light yellow. Okay, have my moon. And last but not least, I'm going to work on my owl. First, I'm going to go back with my marker, and I'm going to add some more feather lines in his chest, like that, all the way down, like so. And now I'm ready to color it in, and your owl could be any color you want. You could do a rainbow owl. Ooh, I like that. I think I'm going to do a rainbow owl. Let's see. We'll start with red. Okay, so I have my owl finished. The only thing I have left are my eggs. So these eggs are quite colorful. They're purple and blue and yellow and all sorts of fun colors. You can keep your eggs white, or again, you can color them. I'm going to color mine quickly with just some splashes of color. I have my eggs. They're sticking to my fingers. And I'm going to move this away. I'm going to clean up a little bit so I have some space. I already have my things cut out. I'm going to need my glue stick, and I did use crayon in the back for stars, so I'm just going to grab a color that I might use for stars. If you have a white crayon or any color, it could be yellow or pink stars, I'm going to grab that. And sometimes your crayons get really flat and they're hard to use. You can just peel very carefully a little bit of the top layer of paper, and then you'll have some more crayon to work with. Okay, put this guy away. And we're going to start putting this together. So the first thing that's going to go down is actually going to be part of your tree trunk. So decide which side you want your tree trunk on, and you're only going to do half of the tree trunk, because we're going to do half of the tree trunk, then we're going to glue the owl in, and then we'll do the other half. Okay? So this does have a lot of Crayon on it. When you use Crayon or oil pastel, you have to use a little bit extra glue. I use too much. You don't need that much glue. There we go. And glue stick dries pretty quickly, so you have to work quickly when you're using it. So I'm just going to pop that in, just right on the edge. Most of my tree trunk is sticking out. I just wanted a little bit at the edge because I want a big tree trunk. I'm just going to rub that down. And now I just want to get a basic idea. You can fold your tree trunk back over, and if you bring it towards the edge, you can just maybe bend it on top of the edge or fold it on top of the edge like that so it stays. Okay, so I do that. I almost made it like a book. We're going to glue the second side of the tree trunk. Just get an idea where that space is. Get a nice amount of glue there, but don't take too long because the glue stick will dry. And you could press that down. You're going to stick your hand in there and just smooth it down. Make sure it sticks. And there we have our tree trunk. That's super cute. Okay, we're ready for our owl. Now the owl might be a little bit tricky. I just want to make sure that it fits in there. There we go. Okay, so we are going to put glue on the back of the owl. I'm just going to get my scrap paper here. Make sure you get the edges. That's the most important, because if you don't get the edges of your owl, it'll pop up. Okay, now he's really sticky, and we are going to carefully try and bring him inside your tree trunk, and then take a look and see where you like him, where you could see him the best, or her. And then just, I like it here, so I'm gonna pull him down a little bit so you can get a better look at his eyes. And I'm gonna put my hand in there and press him down. That's already looking super cute. Okay, so now we are ready to add our branches. And your branches, if they are coming off the paper, you can leave it like that. I think these branches and leaves are coming off the paper back here. I just kept it because I liked it going off the paper. If you're not fond of that, you can trim them and keep them on the paper. And just decide where you want your other branches. So actually I'm going to put the long branch on the bottom because that's where I'm going to put the nest. And I'm just going to glue that down. And I'm going to let it stick right off the paper. And the great thing about this glue stick is that even though it's purple, it's going to dry clear. So I'm not going to worry about anything that shows through. I have my one branch, and now I'm going to add my top branch right about here. I'm just going to make sure that I get those little tiny end branches so they don't pop up. Okay, this is what we have so far. That's looking cute. I'm going to add my nest. Now I didn't glue the top part of my nest down, that edge. I left it open because I'm going to slide the eggs underneath it. Like that. Here's one egg. I'm certainly making a mess with this glue. I think I have room for one more egg. I was able to fit the 3 eggs instead of the 4, but that's fine. Okay, now that my eggs are in, I could do the top edge of my nest. And these little extra pieces I'm not gluing down, I'm letting them kind of fall forward so it gives it a dimensional quality. Oh, this is looking so cute. So let's add some leaves on our trees, on our tree branches. You can actually put the moon in too, decide where you want it. I think I might do it right behind that tree branch. And then I'm just going to pop in my leaves all over the place. And my leaves are going to come off the page a little bit, and I like that. So just double check all your leaves, make sure, especially if you're putting glue on where you did the craypas or the oil pastel. Oh, this guy does not want to stick. Okay, and I'm just going to go back in. This is so fun. And I'm just going to add some stars. I'm just going to make little asterisk stars. All right. And here you have it, our little mixed media owl in a tree. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.